How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books, it's found on the battlefield. All right, what's up, warriors? Welcome back, Battlefield of the Mind. I'm here with James Robbins today, leadership expert. And listen, you guys already know, we just jump right in. So rather than me try and do a storytelling when James is a better storyteller, James, tell the people who you are and let's get into it.
Rick, thank you for having me on your show. Great to be here. I grew up on a small cattle ranch in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, which really shaped my view of life that, hey, work hard, but keep things simple. You don't have to complicate things. And I grew up and here I am still trying to act like a grown up many decades later.
But you said act like a grown-up. What a funny thing to do.
For sure.
I want to get into the leadership talk because we both I work predominantly with men. We still have our women's side, but predominantly with men. And leadership, spirit side talk, who you really are as your character, who you really are as a human being, your authenticity, the truth of you, your integrity. These are hard talks, radical accountability. We get into stuff on our side that's really heavy things for the leadership call. I would love to hear your point of view on your journey and like, this is why leadership needs to be this way. And here's what I found best practices. Like, please give me some of the stuff that's your passion or your fire on leadership.
So my foray into leadership is probably the same as everyone else. We all sort of come to leadership through the same door, which is mine was working at a meatpacking plant. And the culture was so bad that my boss's boss quit. Eventually, my boss quit. I showed up to work one day and they're like, hey, your boss just quit, so you're in charge, right? So we enter into leadership with either something like that or because you were a hard worker, people saw that you produced results, they trusted you enough, and they said, hey, you're going to be a leader. And it's this interesting transition that all of us go through because all of a sudden, what got us to this place called leadership is not what's going to get us to the next level. So often I give the analogy, it's like when some of the mountains that we've climbed where we had a guide. When you take a great mountain guide, well, once they were just a mountain climber, but they were so good at climbing mountains, they became a guide. But once they're a guide, it's actually no longer about the mountains because their success is hinged on whether they can move people up mountains. And this is the thing when you come to leadership really is about producing results through people, which means you've got to move people. And if you can't move people, well, you're not going to succeed as a leader. And how do you do that? Well, of course, there's a skill side to leadership, right? That skills that we gain. But honestly, more than anything, and I rarely hear anyone say what I'm about to say, leadership is so much about energy. It's about the energy you bring to the space, because the same leader can show up one day in a terrible energy and be impotent as a leader. But that same leader can show up on another day and be in this great energy, and it's magnetizing, and people hang on every word, and they want to listen, and they want to do well to support the leader. So it's both of those. So, our company, we go in and we'll go into large companies and develop their leaders. And I can teach you skills all day, right? Yeah, how to hold people accountable, how to tell stories in meetings, and how to engage your staff. All important. But if you don't show up every day with this mindset of really what it means to be a leader, you're going to struggle to have followers.
The energy thing's important. Who are you is a funny question. Like, if you're showing up with bad energy one day and good energy another day and then shit energy another day, and then you project all your energy on people, and we know that you're having a rough day at work or home or life or your whatever, and you come in and you just can't help but spill that all into somebody else. I think this is an interesting thing that you said with this bad boss is not good leader. Like, and so you see, just because somebody's been given a promotion, it doesn't show like, hey, that person's able to move people up the mountain. They're not able to inspire. They're not able to get people passionate or fired up. And this is where it's an interesting thing that we think that being given authority or promotion means leadership. This is actually, I'm going to smack on leadership really hard here in a second too. People think that middle management is the same as like full leadership too, which is ironic because there's people who are like, I am the fucking leader as long as my boss tells me I am. Like, there's a funny leadership thing, and I'm going to lean later on. I just put a pin in this. Being a leader at home is different from being a leader at work because structure is created by a leader. I'm going to put a pin in that because we're going to beat the shit out of that later. But this energy thing, what if I'm like, okay, well, James, I need your help. I've got a big community. I've got a bunch of guys. I got people who are going through some stuff here. What energy am I supposed to come with? Because I guarantee you have seen people go, energy, huh? Hey, everybody, let's go. And then they're losing their minds at work. You're like, holy crap, Josh, you're losing your mind. Like you're going nuts. And Bill's crazy today. Did you see him? He's freaking out. He's like, let's get it, everybody. High fives for everybody. And you're like, dude, is this a sustainable energy? Is that leadership energy? Help me out. What do you think?
Yeah, cue the eye rolls on that, right? So, my first career when I came out of college, I ended up going into ministry, which I didn't expect. So, followed John Maxwell's path before I started my leadership company. But the thing about ministry or any not for profit, it's a great place to cut your teeth with leadership because though you might have this small team of people that are on the paid staff, you have these hundreds of people who are not on the paid staff, and you've got to find a way to have vision and to motivate them. You can't fire them, you can't kick them out of the organization, unless they've done something totally egregious, and you've got to work through all these relationships. And so you just put in the 10,000 reps. And so that's what helped me, honestly, more than anything, develop as a leader, is just having to be in the trenches with messy, messy situations, making a lot of mistakes. So, about energy. When I was about 25, so again, I'm just this young preacher. I was in this mega church, and there was this terrible accident in our city where the subway crashed into another, all these people died. Well, it turns out that one of the victims, their family called our church and said, hey, we don't have anyone to do this funeral. Can someone from your church do the funeral? Well, all the senior pastors, they were out of the state on a conference. And so I was like the next in line. I'm 25 years old. And so they're like, hey, you got to do this funeral. I'm like, I don't know how to do a funeral. I've only been to 2 in my life, and I wasn't there to take notes, on how to do this. And they're like, you just got to go do it. And I remember starting to feel like, oh, why me? Like, why? Like, pick someone else. And for the next couple of days, I just walked around moaning about, like, I can't believe I got to do this. I even called some of my friends, like, hey, you're going to come and, sing some songs, like, which was more like, you're going to come and be with me so I'm not alone. So I'll never forget the day that I show up at this funeral home, and who's ever the preacher is supposed to be like the guy in charge who knows what he's doing, right? I walk in there so insecure, and I see people coming in and they're weeping and wailing because it was a young 28-year-old woman who was killed. And they're all coming in, and I was so overwhelmed. I pulled back into one of these side rooms, and I remember just thinking, okay, James, like, just 2 more hours and this is over. And I was moaning about how tough this had been for me. And then it's just like voice in my head. It's like, hey, you're not the one having the tough week. And those people are. So get out there and comfort them. And that's all I needed. And it was this massive shift of, okay, I can do that. So I went out. Of course, I was still nervous, but I got up in front of and I led the crowd. I led this group and I served them. I gave them what I felt like I could that they needed. But that subtle shift from I'm so focused on me to let me help these people, that's the shift I'm talking about with energy. It's not about, flexing and getting everyone excited. I mean, I think about Tony Dungy, who, when he was coaching, I can't remember who he was coaching to the Super Bowl, but when he first met the team and he just said to them, I will never speak louder than this. You will never hear me cuss, right? Like, he is like the opposite of what we see with most NFL coaches, but he had the energy because of what he brings. So that's what I mean by energy. Leaders have got to be able to leaders have got to be able to compartmentalize their own life and needs and things that even the stuff that's unhealed. Like who among us doesn't have some part that's unhealed? But if you're a father, if you're a coach, if you're a leader at work, when you get into the arena, you've got to switch the focus to what am I here to do with and for these people? That could be when you park your car and you come in the house, and just before you turn the doorknob, and you know that you're going to have, three little ones running at you, and maybe a partner that's like, here, take this one. And to get back into that space of, how do I show up for these people? What do they need? And what am I here to do? And is that exhausting? Yeah, it can be, for sure. But that's the price of leadership.
There's a couple pieces here where, like, some of it I agree with and I want to go further, and some of it I'm going to ask a couple challenging questions on in this. There's things in this story that are pretty powerful things, as ministry things, that we had to do hard things. I had to go like do messy things, and you say sentences like, well, you just got to go do it, which is an interesting thing on two sides, because one, you're calling yourself the leader, but two, someone's telling you what to do. Very funny. Well, you just got to go do it, James. You got to go do it. You're like, oh, God, literally, God, what am I supposed to do here? Like, what? Someone's telling you what to do. Leadership. Very funny. Okay. But then you're like, I can't believe I got to do this. I can't believe I got to do this funeral, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just going to screw this whole thing up. And why can't somebody else just do this? And maybe I can just kind of do this or do that and just try and get through this thing in some weird way or whatever. And this is all about me, and my speech is going to be weird. I'm sure you were kicking your ass for like 2 days. True or not true? Like you were in it, right?
100%.
And these people just lost a 28-year-old girl, killed. Like, they're not thinking about your speech. They're not thinking about your stuff. And I think it's really good that God put it on you. Like, you have to remember, this isn't about you right now, man. Your ego is not your amigo at the moment. We're not, listen, you're here to serve. You're not here to be served. They're not here going to worship your speech. No, you're here to help them lead through grief, lead through loss, which is something I do on a daily basis. It's actually my expertise, is lead through grief. Let's go through the hardest losses that you possibly have. And remember that I'm here to serve you, not complain about my speech or that I have to do this. And I think it's really great that you found that awareness that, like, dang, I'm making this person's death all about me. What an interesting system that we can operate with as human beings. I think it's a very good catch. The compartmentalization element of it, this gets really tricky, because while your answer may not be incorrect, how often is that taken incorrectly? Okay, so I just suppress then, right? So then I just suppress all my stuff, and then I help everybody else by making sure that they get through their things. And then that makes it so that, I don't have to put my stuff on them. I don't have to put my stuff on them. You are correct, but it doesn't actually show, well, what do I do with it then? What do I do with it then? This is, I want to put something on the table for this compartmentalization, and I want you to challenge it back for me. I have a creed for the Warrior's Way, for all our men, for all our people we train. And I added rule number 8, trained or untrained. There's a system that we use where we only pull somebody up to where you are, and we never push somebody to where I haven't been. How often have you seen somebody give advice with good intention but have no idea what they're fucking talking about? If I give you directions to a place I've never been, but I don't know where it is, my intentions might be very good, but I just got you lost. If I tell you how to lose weight and get in shape, but I'm 600 pounds and I don't even do that, like, I may be leading you a direction that's not helpful. If I'm giving you real estate advice and I'm homeless, well, that's not very good leadership. Even though I have good intentions, I compartmentalize my own development and my own growth and my own opportunities to make sure that you're okay. And this is the trap that I see, the manipulative side, the nice guys, the girls who do the people pleasing, the people who call themselves the helpers or the leaders, start doing this compartmentalization of self-development to help everybody. but they're giving terrible directions. People are getting lost left and right. And let's talk what it is, real talk in our world. How many other people out there do you see giving directions when you know they didn't do introspection? Let's call it what it is. I see a lot of people pushing when I haven't done it yet, but I want to help you get it. And that's leadership. I'm going to put it out there. No, it's not.
Well, here, I have a couple of comments on that. So when we think about, it's also going to be hinged on how we define leadership, right? But let's let's visit the coaching space for a moment, because as you and I know, there's just a ton of people that put coach on their website because they had a transformation in one area and now they think that they can help other people. Now, maybe they can help other people, right? So like when we go into a company and let's say we're teaching managers how to coach and develop their staff, we break that down into, there's teaching, right? It's one thing to teach. It's another thing to mentor, right? So a mentor is someone who's been down that path before, which I think is what you're leaning heavily into. And you shouldn't mentor someone in an area that you've not walked that path. There is coaching, though, where you don't have to be the expert. You don't even have to have gone there. I think about who's the guy who was the kicking coach for the Miami Dolphins, but was in a wheelchair, had never kicked a ball in his life, right? I forget his name. I think he just passed away. That's a guy who was coaching, leading, whatever word you want to use, people at the highest level, but he'd never kicked a ball before, but he understood he could stand back from an observer and give advice on that. So I don't think it's all that I have to have been everywhere to give someone advice or to lead them. But my job as a leader is to be a catalyst. So when it comes to growth, my job is to shine a light on something. Now, I'm not going to fake that I'm an expert in something. Here's where I think coaches and leaders get into trouble, right? Like it's sort of like someone who's always confident. Someone who's just naturally confident is probably the worst person to help someone grow in their confidence because they just have a blind spot. They've never learned to be confident. But my job is to shine a light, right? Like, hey, so here's where you are, here's where you want to be. How are you going to get there? Right. And now the conversation begins. Now, obviously, I can suggest some resources, but if it would be disingenuous for me to say, oh, well, you got to do it because this is the way. To me, this is part of leadership is understanding that not everything is nice and clean. There's just messiness. Like I know in our world, we have our frameworks and we have our structures as we should, right? But there are certain situations that don't plug into every framework. I'm sure you have people that you work with that, right? Some of your things, it doesn't fit every single person. This is part of leadership is being able to unhinge, right? Sometimes we attach our ego, right, to even our processes. We can unhinge from that and just go, okay, hey, maybe this won't work for you, but I'm here for you. Sometimes that's leadership as well. I've got your back. I'm not going to let you quit because I see strength in you. So much about leadership is like I said, it's helping. No, it's producing results through people.
Then I guess this is where I think we're aligned on this one. When you have people who are trying to fake confidence, fake information, fake their opinion as expertise, or even have, this is where like I got a whole case full of these credentials you get from doing all these programs and learning all these skills. I don't even know where they're at. We're finishing our doctorate and stuff. I don't even give a shit. Like what I've found is highly important to what you're saying, which is why I like the wheelchair guy who's the kicker coach analogy, is I do believe there's a very massive difference today between someone who has credentials and someone who has competency. Somebody who
100%.
actually knows what they're doing. Like you said, I can actually lead people to results. Check and look at my competency. I actually I found here, want to see something really fun. How many times have you had somebody go, what are your credentials? What are your credentials? What are your credentials? And then the next thing they want to say is their credentials. That's what I found. I figured that out a long time ago. I'm like, every time you ask me, you really just want to talk about you. And so I started just skipping the conversation and just going, listen, we know we want to talk about your, I don't know, your paper you wrote in college or something, or like some plaque you got. Let's just talk about your thing, get your pedestal out of the way real quick and how you're something in psychology. And then now I can hear your story. And then you don't care about mine. It's not about me. You just want to talk about you. there's somebody who's got a lot of paperwork they've done, but no clients, no success stories, nobody who they work with, just a lot of opinions they got from people who challenged opinions, and they won't challenge opinions. Very ironic and paradoxical for a conversation. And yet here we are talking about credentials over competency. Do you really lead people a direction that helps? And this is something I believe for leadership is vital. I have rule number 7, challenge everything. This is something I'd like you to check with me. One of my guys who runs my Thursday night, the spirit side, the parts where people struggle with connection, he said, do you know how you can tell if you're in a cult? He said the number one thing you can check to see if you're in a cult, whether it's work, whether it's political, whether it's algorithms, whatever group you're in, religious, it doesn't matter. Can you challenge the leader? If you cannot challenge the leader without them having a reaction, who are you? I've got the book. You can't challenge me. You're the bad one. And you start seeing blame, shame, judgment. You start going into, you're the problem. You're an issue. We're all not going to be okay with you. If you challenge the leader and you see a reaction, something like this, you're not in a healthy leadership relationship. You're in a cult. And I don't care if it's your boss. I don't care if it's your church leader. I don't care who it is. If you can't ask hard questions without getting violent reactions, you might not be in a leadership conversation. What are your thoughts?
I love that question to determine whether you're in a cult. And I think all cults, it's true. If you challenge the leader, it won't go well. However, there's a ton of workplaces that are also, I wouldn't call cults, but I would call them uh, psychologically unsafe, right? So, this idea of psychological safety. And for those of you who are listening, who you own a business or you're a leader in a company, one of the greatest things you can do is create a culture of psychological safety, which is it's safe to be me, it's safe to learn, it's safe to contribute, and it's safe to challenge, which is obviously usually the highest one, right? But if you can have your people that you're leading know that they can be themselves, they can ask a question and not feel stupid about it, they can contribute ideas and it's not put down, and they can challenge you to say, I don't think this is the best way, and you're okay with that, man, then you're creating a great culture. Easier said than done to get there, right? This is the work we do with companies, and it's like, we'll go into some of these manufacturing plants in some small town, and most of the people there are just kind of good old boys that grew up with not a lot of leadership training, and their egos get triggered so fast. And we try to help them understand that, but you won't get the best out of your people because people work in this sort of value exchange. Nobody says this, but it's like, if I work for you, Rick, it's sort of like a bank account. You're going to deposit not just money, but we deposit. We care about staff. We praise, we recognize, we appreciate. Those are all deposits in the bank account. Well, there's withdrawals, holding people accountable, challenging them, maybe asking them to come in and put in an extra shift. Those are all withdrawals, and they're all part of work. It's fine. We just have to make sure the deposits always outnumber the withdrawals because we need cash flow when you want to talk about influencing people. So back to, I don't want to ramble here, but back to the question about if I can't challenge someone, I am just living in a place of withdrawals, withdrawals, withdrawals. I'm working in a place that is not safe. I can't challenge. Even I might have a better idea than the leader, and this is stupid, but he won't listen or she won't listen. I got to just swallow. All right, then that's a withdrawal for me. And how we operate as humans is we want to level that scoreboard. And so we're like, okay, that's fine. That's fine if he won't listen. I just won't bring my best. I'll do the bare minimum, but don't think I'm coming in on Saturday.
Common thing that I found also. And good call on your deposits and withdrawals. This also works in relationships, by the way.
100%.
But you're very right. And so you see the difference from a bad boss and a good leader. A good leader is like, well, how do I make it so you can be the most amazing, productive version of you possible? How do I inspire the passion inside of you to make it so you can be the best of yourself? How do I do that? Well, that's a good, how do I serve you so that we can serve each other? Deposit withdrawal. But you see, like, the take mentality, like you said, no, shut up and do your job because I said so, by the way, which is a fantastic parent sentence of you're the worst. Just by the way, like, if you can't explain it and you need to punish because you don't know how to do an explanation, great leadership, by the way. And so this is really interesting to watch, this withdrawal system. Also, good on you for catching that culture, not a cult, because that's what we say. We don't have a cult, we have a culture. And it's awesome that you caught that immediately. Well done.
The thing about culture, you think about where we get that word, and you think about from biology and mediums. And the crazy thing is that if you have a medium, so a petri dish with whatever substances in there, and you take a bunch of stem cells and drop them in the medium, well, that medium might turn those stem cells into liver cells. But then take a different medium, drop stem cells in, and now they become skin cells or heart cells. So in other words, what the raw potential becomes is completely hinging on the medium that it's dropped into. That's why in the workplace or in your home, in your family, like, what's the culture? And is it helping people take their raw potential and bring it to its highest form? Because here's the thing. If you have a team of 10 people, and I can get each of those 10 people to just be 10% more engaged, I just gave you another employee, right? That's already trained, that you don't have to pay for. So this is where managers and leaders have to view it as, like, your scoreboard once you become a leader is how successful your people are, which is why you want to do everything in your power to help them be as successful as you need them to be. But this is the challenge. Everyone's busy, right? Like, everyone's busy, and leadership is sort of nebulous. It's not like here's the 5 steps all the time. And so what happens is leaders are drawn to task work, right? So, like, just let me get to my to-do list. And how many of you who are bosses out there listening right now have ever had that moment where you think, I hope my staff don't find me today so I can just get stuff done, right? And because when we get stuff done, we feel better, like, takes stress away, like, I'm making progress. But where we leverage ourselves is by making sure, hey, my staff member Paula, what does she need to be more engaged? And it's not just about going around serving them like, what do you need? What do you need? Bottom line, you know what people need to bring their best? There's a sort of a cocktail of these, what we call engagement drivers, right? People want to be cared about. We want to help them get better, and we want to appreciate them. But people also need an environment where they're making progress, right? If they're not making progress, they're not going to be engaged. Can we connect it to purpose, and can we give them autonomy? Leave them the hell alone. If you just take those 6 things I just said and you can bring those to every one of your employees, they're going to take it up a level.
This is powerful. Before I take this a direction, I want to make sure I don't take you out of, like, that's what I do. There's a lot of talk around the work structure, but I'll be hard pressed, and you tell me in your experience if you've seen the same pattern. The workplace is generally, especially for the men's side, the workplace is usually not the bigger struggle. It's how do we create this structure that you're talking about, our culture at home, when I don't have HR, when I don't have a boss to lean in on, when I don't have someone else? How do you create this structure or leadership at home? So is that something that you also work on with people, or is it mostly stay in the business side? Because I don't want to take you into a area it's not your area.
So all my corporate work is in the business world, but back when I was a preacher, it was the same stuff, but on the family side. And it's still going to come down to the same principles. They're just going to be teased out differently, right? Like, at the end of the day, what are you building? Like, what's your vision? What kind of family do you want? You and your partner together. Hey, what do we want? How do we want to raise our kids? What do we believe about raising our kids?
That question, though, and this is in when I do warrior training with my guys, section 13, I had to move this late in the program. What do you want? I think have you seen that question ends with crickets? What do you want? They'll say blanket stuff like happiness and joy and love, and like, well, you couldn't tell me what those are. You know, I have a whole happiness training where I'll challenge a Harvard professor on it. The definitions are wrong today. I don't know what it is, so we're just saying blanket statements. No, what is it you want? I'm aiming at, you know, I want west. I'm like, what location are you trying to go to? You know, and so it's one of those things where it's like, what do you want? How do you help people navigate this? Because whenever I started with that question, people don't know.
Yeah, for sure. You know this because you've worked with people, and you have the same conclusion that I do. Is what you see is it is maybe the toughest question to answer. What do you want? "Well, what do you mean? What do I want? Oh, what do you want? Like, what am I allowed to want? No. What do you want? And you know, because we filter through like, well, I don't want to be selfish, but or like we'll qualify with all these different things. No, what do you want? And this is an area that I've had to grow in a lot, and where the women who have been in my life have challenged me to say, "What do you want?" And it's not even that I didn't know what I wanted. It's that I'm afraid to actually speak it. I'm afraid to speak out what I want because what are you going to think of me? And this relationship is important. So I'm not saying that's everyone's, but that was certainly my MO for so long, having the courage to say what I want without shame,
Yeah,
right?
shame and the external validation that, like, is it okay that what I want, is that okay with you? Because I don't want to risk losing you for what I want. Again, who's the leader then? I want to lead as long as it's okay with you. And I want to go someplace if you say it's all right. And you know, I'm going to take you someplace as you approve. Well, who's leading here?
For sure. And I think that this is what I found. You don't have to agree with me on this, but what I found in, let's say, men women relationships is, and I'm generalizing, but most of the time, women don't want to have to think through all these decisions. And when men, I think, get tired, we just were like, well, I don't care, whatever you want to do. Hey, let's go out and eat. Where do you want to go? Well, I don't know. I mean, where do you want to go? And it's not, of course, leadership is about um, including other people. But I guess one aspect of leadership that's not talked about enough is just decision making. At the end of the day, the leader makes the decision. Whoever that's going to be, even in your household, maybe you're going to have different leaders of different things, right? Like, mom is, in a sense, she's the leader in this area, and dad's the area in this area, and this area. There's no right or wrong. It's what you figure out for your relationship, what's going to work for you. But if it's not working, then yeah, maybe you need to change up the dynamics. But I think, well, I'll just speak for myself. My personality, if we Myers Briggs, I'm an INFP, so we can be very like, hey, I'm good with whatever, and that can really actually hurt my leadership. And so things I've learned, just even let's say in romantic lives, is to be able to say like, hey, let's go out for dinner. Would you like Chinese or would you like Greek? Those are your choices. And I would love to do Greek. Great, awesome. Be ready at 6:30. I'm going to take you out. That's a good blend for me of I do want to hear what you, because I truly don't want to go to a restaurant that my partner doesn't want to go to. Uh, that's also not leadership in my books, right? Because we're just talking about going out for dinner. But I think it's not much different in a company, right? You want to include people, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you're going to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to use this color on our website. No, we're not going to do that. I love what you've created so far, but we're not going to use this.
Listen, you're in my passion place right now, because like my first book is Everything is a Choice, and I break down choices like hardcore. This is how choices we make those. And there's a thing with the women's side I found that you mentioned, which is called choice fatigue. You've heard of this, I'm sure, where like women will make their decisions more emotionally than guys do throughout the whole day. And after so many choices, like, I'm done making choices today. I'm done. I'm choiced out. And this is something I've heard the women say. I'm choiced out. I don't want to do any more decisions today. Will you please just pick something? Like they're choiced out. Now, on my men's side, when I mentioned choice fatigue, they're like, I don't think I have that because guys don't make as emotional of decisions. We're not as emotionally connected to the decisions that we're making. And so it doesn't drain so much out of us on our decisions. So it's like, fucking pizza. I don't care. Like, okay, then we'll get Chinese. That's fine. Like, it's all fine. We don't get burnt out on those things. It's like, get it then. And this is where it gets into that forced choice close, which is what you did, which is like, do you want Greek or do you want, Italian? Like, which one do you want? Like, you get to pick. And that's the forced choice skill, which is a skill. This gets into the thing for the avoidance of decisions that I see people do. And I think the reason people have an avoidance on decisions and why the leadership element is so important is because of accountability of consequence. This means, well, if it goes wrong or something's bad or it didn't work, well, who takes accountability for that? And the leader. There's no question. And this is why our men, I got one of my guys who's real hard on this right now, where we realize that blame and excuses are luxuries. That's a luxury. You go like, well, it's your fault, James. You didn't pick the right place. Or it's your fault. You didn't make the choice on that. Or how come I have to do everything? It's all your fault. Now, I don't want to do anything then. The luxury to have someone else to blame or something else to excuse, you don't have to do it. What a luxury we have today. What a luxury that you don't have to do it all, because there is nobody to blame. There is nobody else there. You have somebody to go ahead and point the finger at. What a luxury you have. The leaders don't have luxuries of blame, shame on other people, or blame and judge other people, and blame and tell everybody else it's your fault. I make excuses and justifications. We don't get that luxury, because you can do 100 things right and one thing wrong. And what do you think people are talking about? The accountability to the consequence is something where leadership is actually very, 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 very difficult to do. Because when it all goes wrong, I don't get to point the finger on like, well, you picked Chinese. No, I chose. Yeah. And so that's a tough one. I got another direction for this one I think you're going to like too.
I want to just interject a comment because I'm so glad you brought this up, this accountability of leaders. So one of the things, if you're a boss or you're a leader, ask this question. Have you said sorry more to your staff than they have said to you? And the reason I'm asking this is because when I'm speaking at a conference, I'll ask that question. I'll say, how many of you in this audience of 500 people have ever had a boss or leader apologize to you? And maybe like 2 or 3 hands go up. And there's a problem there, right? Because when you think about it, like in my environment, I apologize to my staff all the time. Why? Because I'm clear about a role that I need to live out as a leader. And one of the things we do when we work with companies is we will get the leaders to create a leadership philosophy. And I learned this from Colonel Tom Magnus, to give him credit. But the idea is walking through like, Rick, what is leadership to you? And, basically you're creating a document of what you believe, how you show up, what you expect from others, what you expect from yourself, what people can expect from you. If you veer from that, how they can talk to you. And you give that to all your staff. And now this is the thing that you're held accountable to, right? Like you have to hold them accountable for producing results or don't be in business. But they should be able to hold you accountable, but to what? Right? Not to their old boss or to someone else that's not you, but to you. And so this comes back to that authenticity part of leadership, right? A lot of leaders, they think like, well, I got to be like so and so and I got to be like so and so. No, you just need to be you, but be the best version of you to lead people. And what is that version? And then let your people know this is my intention. And when I veer off this course, you can call me on it. So in my world, to give you some examples, let's say I'm on the road, I'm giving some speeches at conferences, and then I don't stay in touch with my staff. And in a sense, I kind of ghost them. Not kind of, I ghost them. Well, I've had to come back and be like, hey, I owe you guys an apology. I was not as accessible as you needed. And I'm sorry. I'll do better next time. So there's just many times I'm apologizing to my staff because I'm not being what I know I promised them to be. And this comes back to that accountability piece you brought up. When a leader is clear about this is what it means to be a leader or a husband or a friend, then when you don't show up at that, just take accountability. Don't judge yourself for it. Just be like, hey, I was not what I needed to be. I'm going to do better. Great. That actually earns more followers.
You said don't judge yourself for it. And this is something I'm probably going to go a little Rosenberg on you on this one. You said don't judge yourself for it, but I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I wasn't good enough on this. I didn't do what I thought I knew I should have done. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, James. I'm sorry. I don't agree with you on this one, especially as a leader. I don't agree with this even for my people at all, because how can you say I am sorry and that's not a judgment? Like, I am is an identity. I'm so sorry. I didn't do enough. I wasn't available. I didn't do what I knew I should have done. How is this not judging? You're judging hard. And so that assessment of yourself is going to be part of my judgment to make it so now I'm doing a self-shame of I am sorry. I go a little more Rosenberg on this one. I don't think we need to apologize. But you did say the key words that I do agree with. I can accept accountability for something I did. And I can also go through and state my intention of my intention really was this, not to harm you, but I was doing this behavior. I acknowledge how it affected you. I can see that that affected you in a very certain way. I learned from the situation that I need to be more accountable to transparency and openness on my calendar and my time for you. Make sure that I schedule you as a higher priority than maybe, what I was doing for relaxing or avoiding. And then make sure that from now on, this is my new system that improves your life, my life, and our life. Can we agree that that's a better way? And they're like, yeah, I like that. We could do that. Did I ever say, I am so sorry?
So I love your perspective, but isn't really this the same thing, minus the word sorry, taking ownership
This is
for a
important.
gap?
The words I am sorry have been very misused in identity. Again, this goes into NVC and nonviolent communication
Sure.
and Marshall Rosenberg, and he gets into it, calls it jackal speak. Say you're sorry, James. You made a mistake. Say you're sorry. No, say you're
I'm
sorry like
I'm
you
sorry,
mean it.
Rick. I'm sorry,
No,
so sorry.
say it like you mean it. Whatever that means. I don't know what that means. Say it like you mean it.
Yeah.
Like, this is an interesting way for humans to speak to humans, because what if you say I'm sorry, and most people don't give the intention and say, here's how I've learned and grown from it. They go, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I fucked it up. But that's not connection. That's not growth. And knocking myself down to make it so I should feel bad for something that didn't go the way I intended it. How does any type of a shame system of I am bad improve everybody else? I don't think it shows strength in leadership to knock myself down. I think it shows more strength to say, I can see how I can do better to build us up.
I see it differently because I separate shame and an apology. When I said don't judge yourself, I can say I'm sorry to someone and feel like I'm not judging myself. How I define judging myself is when I bring in shame, when I bring like, you're terrible, you're this, you're that. No, I'm just human. Hey, I got busy on the road and I should have been better, but I wasn't. I'm going to let the staff know that's not my intention to be like that. Sorry that you couldn't reach me, whatever it is. But I'm not going to walk around feeling like I'm a bad person or a bad boss.
Then why have to apologize if you didn't do anything intentionally wrong?
Whether I
Unless you really intended to do harm and you learned I have to apologize for my intent to do damage.
Because I think regardless whether I intended or didn't intended, I didn't live up to what I said I would. And so there was a gap there. So I don't want to pretend that that's nothing, because when they've had a performance gap, I'm going to call them on that. I don't want them to make excuses. Part of that leadership is I'm not going to make excuses. I should have been in this, I didn't. Because one of the things that this is a deeper conversation about even growth mindset, at least how I view it, Rick. I want my company to have a growth mindset. Look, you don't have to be perfect, but you need to be growing. Like, just keep trying, take risks. And when you blow it, okay, no big deal. You can speak about that. So that's how I view it. Like, I don't beat myself up, but I'm also going to. So maybe it's just the word sorry that we're disagreeing on,
It
because I think
is.
we're
It is
agreeing on
the
the
word sorry.
concept of taking ownership.
All of the stuff you're saying around this word, because remember, you got to remember, the evolution or growth that you've done on your climb to be able to understand that I've evolved out of sorry being a shame system, 99% of people have not. And remember, say you're sorry is something your parents would tell you to do without explanation and teaching. Your teacher would tell you, say sorry. You tell them you're sorry. Why? I didn't mean to do anything. You tell them you're sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. No, say it like you mean it. Sorry, I don't know. And so now you're going to say, hey, as a leader, you go tell them you're sorry. They may not have an evolution in their own development to understand I've removed shame from my equation, which is very difficult for people to do untrained, by the way, to not go back to this elementary school version of you who has to feel ashamed for anything they've ever done bad, wrong. And so while we may be agreeing on the terminology of, intention and accountability and authenticity, I'm with you. That seems aligned. I don't know if it's necessary to teach people to apologize, especially commonly to create connection. Because I teach my girls, my family, I teach the people in my group, apology isn't necessary if you do like those 4 steps I talked about. Accept accountability, state your true intention, acknowledge how it affected them, learn from the situation and how I can improve next time to benefit each other, and then make an agreement that from now on we do it a better way, so now we're a stronger team. I never, ever, ever have to apply shame to leveling up. And so it's the word. You're not wrong. It's the one word that has been indicative of shamefulness throughout our entire upbringing that I'm like, could we remove that and still get a good result?
100%. And you brought up a great point I hadn't thought about before about the attachment people have to that word. So I appreciate that. That's fantastic.
This is one of the ones I have to kill when we're breaking curses for people, because you got to remember the corporate environment is a very different planet than home. And I would say, like, corporate has its challenges, but home is way harder to
For
create the
sure.
structure, because if you teach the guy or the leader or whoever is the leader of the home, which should, I'll argue, the male, if he has to, I'm sorry, babe, I'm sorry, babe, I'm so sorry, it creates instability in the environment and makes her feel unsafe, because a man who will negotiate his authenticity for her emotions is going to be a man you can't trust. Okay, I'm sorry, babe, I'm whatever. Okay, sorry. And then you start looking like a dependent and not a leader. Start acting like a boy and not a man. The women don't do well with a hyper apologetic guy who doesn't show accountability, authenticity, growth, development, connection on how we can improve, and then say, hey, we can do better this way, babe, I got you. But the guy who's like, I'm sorry, I didn't, okay, I'm sorry. That's it. I said sorry. And this is where people are taught that sorry means something. But if you keep wearing that word out without improvement, it means nothing. It means less than nothing. That's the only reason I harp on that word, is because I see the pain that a belief system around my identity is to be shameful and sorry causes massive disbelief in oneself.
For sure. And it's like a currency that when you flood an economy with new money and it causes inflation, like you said, if somebody's hyper sorry all the time, yeah, that loses its meaning. Not only that, but some people feel shut down. Like, well, I said sorry, so you can't say anything, right? Which,
Yes, correct. Yes. And that messes people up more. They're like,
for
so I
sure.
can't talk now? Well, I said sorry. What are you mad about? You should shut up. I said sorry. It's like, no, I'm not doing that.
It could also be my Canadian roots. We just say sorry a lot. It's just part of our culture.
My
Oh, sorry,
Canadians, I
man.
do it. Oh my God. My Canadian guys, they're like, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm not
It's done,
sorry, but I'm
buddy.
sorry. I didn't mean to say sorry. And they catch themselves in the loop. It's actually really funny. All right, good. Thank you for going on that journey with me, because a lot of people get like, well, I'm sorry. I even said sorry, man. Fuck. Like, I'm like, well, I just sometimes I see this will cause more harm, but obviously your intentions are never to do harm. I've already caught the vibe off of you. You don't have any of that energy. And so, like, your intentions are good. It's just I've caught that one has inadvertently caused damage on accident,
Yeah, now
especially the
see,
home world.
I could see that for sure.
I got one for you. This is one that I've been on for probably about 3+ years now. And this is why I teach my men in a very different way on this one. When it comes to leaders, like the leader, and we can stay corporate with this one because it works the same in corporation. When it comes to leadership, how often do you see the leader receive empathy? The leader, go ahead and fuck up your paycheck. Watch the leader. Does he get empathy? Like, oh, hey, James, I can see you must be having a hard time. You're a week behind on paying me for all of my hard work. You must be going through a lot of stuff right now. How can I connect with my brother on this one, as I'm not getting paid and my kids are getting pissed off that I'm not buying groceries right now?
Yeah, that's one of the prices. That's one of the price leaders pay, is that they don't get empathy. Of course, it's one of the reasons why it's lonely at the top, as they say, the higher up you go. But it's, I view this as, okay, I'm a business owner, and it's not really my employees' job to have empathy for me. I think they do, because I have a connection with them. And to me, that's part of being a good leader, right? Having a connection with your staff, not so they like you, but when you are showing up as the leader that you can be, your staff will be loyal to you because you're helping them get better, you're helping them grow, you're giving them a culture to thrive in. Who wants to leave that? So they don't want your boss to do poorly, but they're not attuned to you, right? Like, you think about how we are attuned to our staff. Like, one of our staff walks in and let's say they just look like maybe something's bothering them. That sticks in our mind. And then we'll think, oh, I'm just going to go follow up with them later to see how they're doing. Our staff might see the same thing with us, but they're just not going to come and say, "Hey, Rick, you seem, a little bit down today. Everything okay?" I mean, maybe they say that to you. They don't say that to me, but I think part of that's just societal, I think.
Correct. Now, if it's societal, and this is, again, the bigger issues I've noticed is at work, there's at least if you're in chain of command, that means like you're still under somebody else who would give that middle management guy like empathy still. It's that the top guy. This is where I saw a teacher do this one time, and he wrote down like math problems, and he did like 1+1, 2+2, 4+4. He started writing a whole bunch of stuff down. He did a whole bunch of problems in a row, and the 10th one he wrote it wrong. And the class starts laughing at him. He's like, "What are you guys laughing at?" I was like, "You got that one wrong." He's like, "Well, why did nobody say anything about all these ones I got right? I got 10 right and one wrong, and all you guys talked about was the wrong one." Like, that's leadership. It's like, I did 100 good things and one bad thing. You're the worst boss ever. Like, I just did 100. Did we have goldfish memory on all the good stuff? Yes. But I remember that day that you didn't pay me on time. I remember that day that you were going through your divorce and you had an outburst on James. I remember that. Like, well, human being, man, not to us. No, you're not. Now, in work, let's call it what it is. This is what I've got my own group for this too. Leaders can get empathy from other leaders.
Yes.
Leader
100%.
to leader can be empathetic because you're like, I understand the plight you're carrying, and you're carrying how many 1,000 people, 2,000 people? That's a lot of weight. Listen, I've got my own Atlas's burden over here. I'm carrying my own world. I'm like, it's heavy. And so leader to leader can be empathetic. Business owner to business owner can be empathetic. Father to father can be empathetic. Like, dang, that's a lot to carry. Most of my men, 99.9% of them that come in, have never received empathy like that.
100%. This is why groups like what you have are so important, right? Masterminds, things like that. Because when you're a business owner and you miss payroll, let's say by a day, I mean, if that doesn't weigh on you as a business owner, then you probably shouldn't run a business. But man, that I've done that before. I've been a day or two late on payroll, and I felt terrible because to me, that's the absolute worst thing you can say to an employee. Hey, your pay's going to be a couple days late. Who do I tell that to? But when I can go into a room of other business leaders and just be like, I'm kicking myself because X, Y, and Z. There's going to be another person in there that's like, I remember that. Yeah, we had that. And I think especially with men, we need to be able to talk to people who are sharing the same or have shared the same struggles. That's where we feel safe, right? Let me give you an example as well. I remember one time, this goes back to the church world. There was this guy who got up to do, like in a church service, there's always where they pass the plate. And then, but before the plate is passed, someone gives up and gives this little talk. and about why you should give money. Well, this guy gets up, and he was exemplary, and he was like, my wife and I always give, and we give more than 10%. And there's been times where we've had been so broke and we still gave 10%. We've never not given it, and, kind of give today. And I don't know, I just remember that. And a few weeks later, I was the one giving that talk. But my talk was like, sometimes when I've been really tight financially, I've stopped giving. And then I came to a place where I saw this scripture and I thought, no, I'm going to just give by faith. And then I started giving again. And then what I noticed is like things actually did get better in my life again, but I've definitely not been perfect. And that's the speech that inspires other people. So I think with men, we can see through people's BS. Like if someone just comes in and they're just awesome, well, they're either not telling us something. It's just, hey, be who you are. And because I think at the end of the day, men, as you know, we are shaped in shame from a young age. And so it sticks with us. And we do a pretty good job beating ourselves up. When we come to a room, we find a safe space when we find other people that have made the same mistakes, the same mess ups. That's safe for us, I think.
You're right, and like I don't want to overly convolute the word safe because it's necessary for safety for humans need safety, but again,
Mhm.
leadership or the men, for example, are supposed to create it. Like we're protectors. You have to be the protector. Like how do you create safety, security? And like we also teach Warriors Way, safety, security, mind, heart, body, spirit. You have to build all four walls. You have to have structure. And a lot of guys are just, I'm strong, I'll kick someone's ass. I'm like, how often does that fucking happen, dude? Like that never happens, right? Or like, oh, I'm real smart, man. I'll be tactical with. My house will be home alone, and I'll hit him with a paint can. Like that doesn't happen, man. You're not doing this. This is very rare, right? But are people safe to talk to you emotionally, mentally, spiritually? Can I share something with you without it becoming used against me? Betrayal, posted later. Now the rumors or the things is this going to come back to me because I trusted you? This is tough because if a guy saying I'm really down right now, anybody who's not at that level is going to go like, well, how long do you need to get back to fixing things for me again? How long until you're doing what I want you to do again? Like, so how long is this going to affect me that you're down? And that's what leadership is like for a lot of these guys, especially at the home life. This is again why, and I'll debate any woman out there that exists. I have an entire list from seeing our women's group and seeing working with women. And my wife has pointed out, she's like, I don't think the women are built for leadership at home. There's things that they are competent in, and that's what they do. There's strengths in certain things, but to take the radical accountability of leadership at home and build with structure, women don't seem to build structure, but they seem to make inside structure wonderful. Like their job is not to build with the bricks. Their job is to decorate and make this place a home. And so if you have your girl out there doing masonry and you're sitting back waiting so you can play Xbox, you're fucking it up, man. Like you're not creating safety, security. For men, though, the men need men. I mean that two ways. We need to have that garage talk. We need to have, I got to bounce ideas off of you. We need to have that black box thinking of what have you seen worked so I can try something without another fuck up? Like we have to have that men need men bounce things off. And today I think guys are taught to be lone wolves. And I've said it over and over again. You're familiar with what a phalanx is. I obviously I speak Spartan. A phalanx is when all the shields are put together. You make a shield wall. They do it in the movie 300. Well, what's tougher, the one soldier out there kicking ass or the shield wall? They took out 10,000 or 30,000 Persians with 300 dudes. Like that shield wall was effective. We have to create our shield walls. You have to have a place where you can bounce it off of your guys. And now men need men. You need your boys, right? But you also need somebody who's solid. How often have you seen people go, my mentor was this healthy male or this healthy person I saw growing up? It's 99 out of 100 going, never had one of those.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Have you ever heard of F3 Nation, the
No,
men's workout group?
no, I haven't.
F3 Nation is really cool. I think there's almost 100,000 guys that do it. Basically, it's a workout group. It's free. It's based on 5 core principles. It's free, always held out so outdoors. It's peer led. Everyone takes a turn leading workouts, and it always ends in a circle of trust. And the reason why I think actually you would love it, actually, I first got invited. A friend of mine called me up to invite me to his Christmas party, and my wife and I, my then wife, and I had to break him the news that actually we're getting divorced, and it's just this tough moment. And the first thing out of his mouth is, "Oh, you need to come work out with the guys." And I was like, okay. So I show up, and it's like in the park, 5:30 a.m. And again, this is all over the nation now. But what's happened is you go, you work out, but then after the guys close out with just what's called the circle of trust. It's just a chance for, hey, is there anything on your heart you want to share? It's what's shared here stays here. So it's not like an immersive experience. It's like 1 minute, but it over time, week after week after week, the guys start to normalize. It's okay to throw something into the circle, like, hey, my wife and I are fighting, or hey, and no one's trying to fix it either. It's just, I'm just letting you know this was what's going on. And I've been doing it now for, I don't know, 5, 6 years. I'm not sure what city you're in, Rick, but and you should go check one out. Plus, you'd be such an asset there with all your knowledge and wisdom. Plus, I know you're a guy that is into fitness. But it's that concept of realizing that, because it's not a religious group, it's just men. I think it was started by a bunch of ex-military guys, but it's the idea that men are not meant to be lone wolves. We just need these connection points wherever they are, and not everybody's into church, right? This gives them a chance to just go to a place that's non-religious, but hey, we're going to work out hard, and then anybody got anything that they need to share, and if not, great. See you next time.
Well, there was a religious leader who said that a gathering of 2 or more is church.
That's right.
I don't know if anybody's here ever heard of this guy. He's known in small circles. If you ever heard of him, his name was Jesus. He said a gathering of 2 or more, you're a church. You don't have to go to a certain building or get permission from somebody. It's like if you're at your workout group and guys are connecting with each other, spirit to spirit, you're a church right now.
We are created for community for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. The lone wolves go hungry. The pack always eats. Yeah, I like it. F3 Nation. I'll check it out.
Check it out. You can find workouts. I mean, again, I don't know what city you're in, but if you're in a major city, there's.
I'm near the Chicago area. If you're anywhere near there,
I just met a guy from Chicago who was out here on holiday, and he came working out. And I don't know where in Chicago.
What was his name?
I don't even know his real name. I just know his handle. But let me find him and connect you. He was South Lakes or something, whatever that means. But I don't know. I know Chicago's a big place, so.
Well, I'm outside of Chicago. It's just that area. I'm not in the city of Chicago. Screw that. No, I'm within an hour of Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna goof with you anyways. I was gonna act like I knew the guy. So if you're like, oh, it's
that's usually
Robert,
the Canadian
Rob. Oh yeah, just goofing with you. No, I like those things, and again, like the timing on those things is tricky. I work out every morning by myself. My guys come in. I have people come in like every other week. I got somebody staying at my place. My guys come in from all over the nation and spend time with me for multiple reasons. And this is a leadership thing that I maybe you can hear how I do this. My girl and I are healthy as fuck. Like we have gone through every layer of hell together and figured it out.
Nice.
People don't know what that means. We're not fraudulent. We're not fake. Come and see. Come and hang out. I'll show you what a healthy relationship is. In fact, we built our heart side training, our relationship course. I wouldn't do it until we were solid, no fighting for a year.
Fantastic.
Like if we're not solid, I'm not teaching this. Again, I lead from the front, and I found 3 different leadership styles: lead from the front, lead from the middle, lead from the back. I'm going to lead from the front. If I don't do it, I'm not telling you what to do. And everything in my courses, if I haven't beaten it, I'm not teaching you how to fight it. That's stupid. I won't do that. So me personally, my leadership style, I have my guys who don't have legs and can teach you how to kick. I have those guys, literally. I have those guys in wheelchairs. I have them. But my leadership style is I only teach what I do. And so this kind of stuff where it comes into empathy or the growth or the teamwork or camaraderie or like being able to see what does it look like somebody who actually does it. They come, they work out with me. I've never done an F3 Nation workout in the park before because I have my own home gym. And so my guys come and work out with me here. And we work out in 20 minutes. I have bodybuilders and shit come in here and we'll do hardcore workouts. Like, have fun. We lead from example on these things. And I show them the efficiency of being able to go, you can do self-care in like an hour, all of it, mind, heart, body, spirit. We can knock it all out real quick. And then you got 23 hours of just being awesome with your people. That's an efficiency thing where like, it's kind of cool, but I like to check out a couple of these things. Just the
Yeah,
problem is
go check some out.
I'm a monster though, James. There's at some point they're gonna be like, all right, we're just doing Rick's workout. I'm like, it's not my workout. I just am so used to just going like, you guys want to know how to kill that. Like, I can see you're struggling with, that shame thing. I can show you how to beat that in 20 minutes. Like, shame, it's not that tough if you understand the core, but it's very difficult to catch that core. That's why depression runs rampant because they don't know how to do it. But I found the core. And once I teach you how to kill it, you can kill shame. That's just
why
me though.
you bring so much to that group. But the bold call of leadership is simply follow me, right? That's the bold call.
The hard question for leadership is why? That's where everybody gets jammed up.
you got to give them a reason. That's a great question. Why should I follow you? Right? For sure.
That's where people get screwed up. All right, James, I got to lean on you on this one. I want your opinion. That's the question whenever you see people say, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. I'm in charge. The most dangerous letter in the alphabet's Y. Why? It'll get people. Because now there should be an explanation. There should be an intention. There should be an accountability. There should be authenticity behind this answer. And the most ridiculous answer I can think of is because I said so, or I'm in charge, or I'm the boss. This means I don't know. Very tough to follow the I don't know person. What's your thoughts on like, well, why should I follow you as a leader? And then how can people be able to develop those answers authentically?
Yeah. If someone comes to me and says, why should I follow you? I'm probably going to come back and say, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure you should, but somebody's got to be in charge here. So I can do it, or you can do it. You let me know. That's of course saying that in jest if I'm in a volunteer format. I think if somebody has to ask that question, there's a bigger issue there. I'm not saying it's a bigger issue with the leader, but there's a bigger issue there. Now, it could be that person. Some people just hate authority of all types, or feel like they should be the boss. But I'm a big believer in.
If I asked you, would you think I have like a hate authority? If I was like, hey James, why would I follow you? Would you think that was a challenge of authority, or I have a hatred toward you, or I have animosity before we start?
Oh, all based on tone, not the words. That's how you say it.
Let's say it nicely. Hey James, why would I follow you?
That's a great question. So, what would I say to that? Why would I follow you? Well, if it's my company, that's an easier answer because you chose to. But if I am a middle manager and someone put me in charge, being in middle management, what would I say to that? Hey, why should I follow you? I'm probably going to appeal back to, well, somebody's got to be in charge. Somebody's got to make decisions, and somebody is ultimately got to be held accountable for these results. And it looks like that's me.
Well, I'll do that. I'll take it for you. Since you think somebody's got to do it, well, someone's got to do it. I'll do it for you. What do you think? Can I just be the leader then? Because someone's got to do it.
Then I'm probably going to say, well, I'm kind of curious why upper management didn't have you lead then. So help me understand that. How come you're not in charge? I'm probably going to turn it on them at that point. You just
did the why back. And so I don't know the answer. So I'm going to ask you the same question and see if you do. Now, what if I do? Well, because I have all the experience to make sure I can get these people to the next level. I've already done this before. This is my first time in this environment, but it seems very similar to things I've been highly successful in. Since I hit the top of the charts on that and pulled people out of the mess before, that's why I would be the one who would do this next. And so since I know exactly what I'm doing, where I'm going, and how to do it, that's probably why I should be the one if somebody's got to do it, who leads. So what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I'm doing a speech, I've got to inject some authority at the beginning because I want people to listen to me. So I'm going to appeal to that. But sometimes you have cases where It's not clear. Like someone just gets like in a manufacturing plant, someone gets put to be the team lead, and everyone's like, "Why you?" And it's tough for them to have an answer because they don't have an answer. Is it they just got chosen. This
Correct.
is what's messed up at times about leadership in the workforce.
Well, I've seen people get promoted because they're tall.
Yeah,
That's not leadership, by the way, because they're like, well, they're tall. They probably won't argue with them.
because
I would.
because
Those
you
tall guys
naturally have
always
to
hated
look
me.
up to me. Yeah.
Well, they think because somebody is has an intimidation factor, they're more likely to just like listen to them. But I see through the facade, and so I'm like, you are not a leader. You were promoted because you're tall, but you're terrified and you have no idea what you're doing. And there's a thing with leadership, and this is one of the things that we as humans need to be challenged on. This is in every category. You want to see who somebody is, you give them power. I think Abraham Lincoln talked about this. You want to see who somebody is, you give them power, give them authority, give them promotion, give them advantage, give them a little more than another person. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be fame, it could be money, it could be beauty, it could be just something where they have abundance more than somebody else. And then see how they treat people. This will show you leader or bad boss. This will show you if you're actually a decent human being, or if now that you have advantage, you can't wait to take advantage. And this is something for people to be aware of why are you doing that? And if you can't answer why and you're just doing harm, you are not a leader. You're a bad boss. This is
So
Go ahead.
sorry, so much of this goes back to, when I said how we all enter leadership. And what happens is when we first become a leader, we're thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. And so we go back in the Rolodex of our mind to the only leaders we've ever been under, which, if you're young, it might only be like two bosses you had, one coach in high school who screamed at you. And so you have this really tiny thing to draw from. It's a little bit like when you're having your first baby and they tell you to go to Lamaze class and you're like, what the hell? Like you're not going to remember any of this because it doesn't have context. Which is why when someone becomes a leader, yeah, great, have some humility and then full on try to learn, get people in your life, get mentors. Just understand that we come into leadership half blind, but don't stay half blind, right? Like develop yourself, develop the skills, continually read, go to courses, get mentors, because nobody wants to mess up someone's life. But the research is clear. Like Saratoga Institute found that 50% of people's happiness is directly linked to their relationship with their boss. Like 50% of happiness at work. So think about that. Nobody told me that when I became a leader. Like that wasn't in the fine print. Like here's your corner office, and by the way, 50% of the happiness of your now former friends is linked to you. I'd be like, wait, what? No, I don't. I don't want that job. Like, who wants that job? This goes back to how we started this conversation about the responsibility of leadership. That's actually a heavy burden to lay on a leader, but it's the programming of society that's done that. So it is what it is. Just understand how I lead, how I show up, the energy, whether I bring my best and try to do my best, is going to impact these people's lives and how they go home and see their pets and see their loved ones. I have an impact on them. The more people you lead, the more people you're sending home with a certain vibe. And that's why leaders should get paid more.
Agreed. And that's a very tough one. And again, like I mean, I'm so much more in the homes than I am in the. I have only two
Yeah,
companies I do their mindset training for, so like I try to keep my corporate world because a lot of times a lot of stuff I teach goes against their stuff. So I
sure.
can't believe they keep me involved half the time. But so I'm like, you do know you can start your own business, you know that, right? They're like, oh my god, my boss would hate that. I'm like, you do know you can follow your dream, you
Rick's
know that, right?
clearing out the place.
Yeah, I'm like, you do know you're allowed to also have a dream. You know that, right? You can do it,
I'd
so
love
I
to
have
see the
those.
testimonial. After Rick's training, 10 of our people quit and went and
Bro,
started their own businesses and got happier.
bro, like, I'm real talk. I'm surprised some of these companies keep me involved because I'm like, well, if this isn't your place, start your dream. I'm like,
Yeah,
you could do it.
100%.
So
100%.
funny. But as far as the elements that you're talking about, um, yeah, the 50% of someone's happiness is dependent on the boss that they have. First off, I see this as a radical mistake on our parents' part.
Of course.
This is a parent issue. This is something where you didn't train your kid to have the autonomy you spoke of and have the ability to find purpose or find the way that they progress authentically, or to know that they're cared about enough that they don't need the external validation of somebody who is given authority. And there's just constantly trying to appease a parent is, the happiness from your boss. That's a very difficult thing to put on a boss at work, especially, again, they're not trained. They're just like, well, Tim's out, so James, you're in charge. You're like, the fuck? I don't want Tim's job. You're like, well, neither did Tim. You're up. And like, so like that's difficult because now I have to somehow figure out how to do it. And then you have that person who pissed Tim off to make him not happy, now making you unhappy, and you're responsible at 50% of other people's happiness. Way to go. That corporate world is very difficult because there's so much disingenuine and authenticity that you have to confront on a daily basis and call yourself leader. So that's tough. I lean into the home though. That's home. The home is tough. 50% of my family's happiness is based on my leadership. That's a tricky job to have because listen, James, I'm a girl dad. I got 3 teenage girls. I've got Andrea's cousin who's in her early 20s who lives here, and my girl Andrea, my baby. That's my girl. I got 5 females in this home. There's only one other male, and he's a mutt. He's a mixed dog. I don't know what he is. He's like 5 different breeds. There's 2 boys in here. That's it. And 50% of their happiness is based on me. I got teenage girls, man. This is a roller coaster of emotions. I don't know what's going to hit the ride today. I don't know. But I know I got to stay solid track. I got to be solid for them. This is a very tricky thing for guys to have to be accountable for the happiness of others. It's weird, I think, this is my opinion. It's weird, I think, that people would put that kind of pressure on anybody.
100%. I don't know that stat translates into the home. I think, to your point, it's a problem if the happiness of your kids hinges on you, right? I think, again, our job is to prepare our children for society, to be successful, to navigate those waters, and so much of that is helping them to find the autonomy, to build the strength, not to find the strength, to build the strength over the years where they can manage life, right, confidently. I have 2 girls, they're in their 20s. I can look back at things that I think I did well, and then other things I didn't do well to prep them. That's on me, definitely not on them.
But as long as you teach them how to navigate difficult things, they'll figure it out. So
yeah, for sure. Trust their strengths, right?
Yeah.
Trust that overall what you put into them. And it's not, I used to think it's like these little, motivational talks you have with them. It's not. It's just day in, day out, them watching you, watch how you handle stuff. That's how they're learning. They're just downloading your example.
Now we're on the same page for I pull people up. I don't push them up. My girls watch us.
Yeah.
They watch Andrea. They watch me. They watch how we interact. They watch how we handle difficult situations. They watch how we take care of ourselves. They watch. They wake up and I'm writing on the table in the morning. Hey, good morning, hon. And I'm writing. I didn't tell them they have to write, but they understand writing is a part of doing something. Our gym is right in the middle of you walk to get downstairs to where they're at. They have to walk by our gym. They'll see me in the gym. They'll see Andrea in the gym. We'll work out. Yeah. My daughters are all athletes. They all work out. My oldest right now is waiting for us to be done because she's like, I want time to be able to have time with you. And I think it's the element of leadership at home that's very, very disregarded, different than corporation, which is still there, but not the same, is that the leader has to make this place safe. But I wish it was just fighting things because, man, that would be way easier on some of these days.
For sure.
I need to be able to hear the most chaotic shit that you can think of and not react like a crazy person. Am I safe to be in that circle of trust for the F3 nation? Are you that for your kids? Can someone go like, hey, Dad, my friends and I, we were drinking. Well, you're 17. You shouldn't be doing that. We did. Well, you're grounded and you told me the truth and now you're in trouble. And now I start getting mad at them for telling the truth. Do you know what I taught my kid to do?
Lie.
I taught him to lie to me. And I punished them for telling the truth. I trained them that. It's like, we don't do that here. They can tell me we've gone into the shit, man. You don't think that life takes it any easier on me than you guys. Everything from self-harm to young promiscuity to exposure of information they didn't have any tools for, really shitty boys. Like I'll go down a list. You know, the stuff that they've had to deal with the other side of their family. There's nonsense.
I think leading at home is 10 times harder than leading in the corporate world. And I think
Attaboy.
that's why you'll see some CEOs crush a company and just produce great quarterly returns, and their family is a mess.
I've
It's,
had them. Those are the
yeah,
guys that come to me. They're like, I'm a billionaire here and I'm killing it. My
yeah,
wife treats me like shit. And
yeah.
I'm like, you're missing key structure.
And because at home, you can't hide forever.
Yes.
So
Or at all.
eventually you got to deal with everything that you haven't dealt with. But at work, you can hide. You can hide all that stuff.
You can blame and you can make excuses. As long as you're not the top guy, there's always somebody who didn't do something right.
For
At
sure.
home, you don't get that luxury.
Mm-mm.
This is why
Yeah.
I lean into leadership so hard at home, because if your home life isn't good, how good are you at work? If you're sitting there
Yeah.
stressing because, man, my girl and I are just not okay. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. What am I doing wrong? I don't know. She's not okay. I did everything that I can think of. What the fuck do I do now? They're like, James, I need that report done. And you're like, oh shit. Where's the report? You know, like you're gonna bring it to work. This is difficult to manage for somebody who won't get empathy. Difficult to
Yeah.
manage for someone who doesn't have some place to go. Can I bounce this off of you? Because I don't know what I'm missing. And I think this is where you and I come in. Well, you have to have somebody who at least goes like, well, there's a thing you do there, man. You do know there's a way to climb that mountain, right? You do know, like, what are you using for the ice pick? Like, ice pick, I just have this box of crayons. I'm like, you can't use crayons for ice pick, bro. No. We got to get you the right stuff here, right tools. And I think that's where we lean into, like, you know, you've got your journey, you've got your stuff that you've gone through, these difficult things. You've done difficult climbs, you've done hard things. And I think I'd like to lean in on, like, tell me some of that journey testimonial element of, like, the reason I had to write these books and the reason I have to teach what I teach and the reason I'm called to do what I do is
Because every one of us, I believe, at some point you'll feel an invitation from the soul, or whether you want to call it psyche or inner life, when things aren't in alignment. And when I say when things aren't in alignment, like you know what that feels like. And it could be from the career, it could be from your family, it could be all things. It's just like something's wrong. I don't know what's wrong. Something doesn't feel good. Or the question, is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? And the book that's coming out in August, that's titled The Call to Climb, is a motivational fable written about a character that sort of stumbles into this village in the middle of the Bolivian Andes, only to find out that they've been expecting them, because this is a special place where there's a mountain that calls you to climb when you need to have a conversation with your soul and you need to actually listen. And so the whole book is about this journey of tapping into living an intentional life and not living on autopilot. Because as I lay out in the book, what I believe your purpose in life is to actually bring the most honest, authentic version of yourself to the planet. That's your gift to the world. Your purpose is the soul's calling, and the soul is expansive. It wants to express itself. It's like the seed of an oak tree. If you ask a seed of an oak tree, what do you want to be? I'm going to be an oak tree. It's who you're becoming. That's our purpose in life. We will do many things, especially as men. We're always like, but, no, but what do I need to do? Like maybe I'll go build schools in Africa or something. Yeah, maybe you will. And that's an extension. That's sort of a worthy pursuit. But your purpose is just to bring you to this world, that best version of you, to your family, to your workplace. And as you do that, like the oak tree, it's going to do things. It's going to provide shade, and animals going to live in it, and people are going to sit under it. But all of those things happen because of what it is. And when we can start to get clear on, who do I want to bring to this world? Like, who am I? All the to-dos will come later, but we want to create a spiritual compass, right? A spiritual vision. Yeah, what do I believe about parenting? Not what do my parents believe? What do I believe about parenting? Why do I believe that? And how am I going to live that out? What do I believe about being a friend? What do I believe about being a partner, a spouse? Why do I believe that? So when we start to carve out our vision, now we've got that direction. And now we can start to climb. And as we climb, we're going to hit those headwinds, all those formative beliefs and fears that are going to hold us back, the shame, all the good work that you do. That stuff comes out in the context of the climb when we're doing hard things. So the book was really written about my own journey, but it's for anyone who just realizes that, hey, I want more alignment in my life. I want, as James Hollis says, when the path is right, the energy is there. And I just want to, I know we're wrapping up here because both of us are going to have to go, but I want to just mention about hard things. And I am 100% confident you'll be on the same page as me here. Hard things is something that should just consistently be in our life. And I'm not talking about survival hard things like I'm just trying to manage, like get the kids and all that. Like that's hard. It's hard when you got young kids. But I'm talking hard things that challenge you that you're doing, whether that's at work, whether that's taking on a project, whether that's you're going to deliver a speech and you're like, I hate speaking. I don't want to do this. Whether it's getting up at 4 a.m. to go work out. Hard things are the best, is the best school for us to uncover everything and grow. And that's why we climb. The call to climb is not a summit. The call to climb is bringing the best of you to this world.
Sounds awesome, dude. And yeah, I'm going to kind of recap kind of what I saw. Is you, this book is encompassing the concept of there is a spirit in you, there is a calling inside of you that most of us suppress, deny, close off, and shut down. They turn off their spirit and their dream. They turn off their purpose. They turn off their stuff for complacency and for just going with routines and doing what other people tell you to be. That conversation with your soul, man, do people avoid that. And climbing the mountain and having the conversation with your soul, which is really conversation and connection to God. Like, who are you and what's your purpose in this universe? It's not a religion, it's a relationship. And I think it's very powerful that you're like, go have a conversation with your soul and see what the answers are. That's badass. That's some warrior shit. We do that hardcore, what we do. I very much am with you on that. Being the best version of yourself instead of doing many things. That's the balance between doing and being. Are we human doings or are we human beings? And are you actually being that thing that fulfills potential and progress? Badass. Challenging introspection. This is something that most people do not do. Also because they're taught not to. Most people gaslight the truth of who they really are to try to fit in, belong, and be what other people want them to be, and will never ask the questions that you are asking about. Who am I? Why do I do this? Is that my belief or my parents' beliefs? What do I think this is the right thing to do or not? They will not ask these questions because they do not want to be rejected, so I'll conform. That's the definition of cowardice. You know, it's the opposite of courage. Conform. Not run away, just conform. Be what everyone tells you to be. You find yourself on the journey. I found my purpose on the journey. You think you have to start. Don't Simon Sinek this shit. And this is where I agree with you very much. You got to climb that mountain because you think you can see, but you're not high enough to see. But the higher you get, your entire perspective will be different. And you start finding what you're built for because you push yourself through difficult terrain to learn what grit you have, what fortitude you have, and who you really are. Then your purpose becomes clear. And you don't start with it. You start with something that's strong enough until you find something that you can't get rid of. I think this book sounds awesome. I think it sounds fantastic, man. We do have to do hard things. It's a requirement. If we avoid doing difficult things, pushing your limits, finding your where is it that I hit the wall? And then how do we go further? And how do we help others go further? And if I have the courage to not conform and go as far and as hard and as high up this mountain as I possibly can, well, now I've got the ability to show other people how to do it too. So anybody else want to figure out their purpose? Well, get your gear. Let's start climbing, right? James, it's such an honor to have you here. It's been cool to hang with you, man. I really appreciate you.
For sure, Rick. I appreciate you. Appreciate what you're doing, especially the groups that you got going on. And man, just keep up that great work. And again, been my privilege to be with you today. So thanks for having me on your show.
All right. What if people are like, you know what? I like this James guy a lot. How do I get in touch with him? I want to do his things, or I want to check out his books, and I want to get his stuff, and I want to go. How do I get my company to be able to have James come in and show us some of these skills for energy and how to do these things the right way and lead in a way that makes it so I can have my team actually have that 50% happiness. I'd like to have that. Like, James, how do guys get in touch with you, or how do people get in touch with you?
They can go to jamesrobbins.com. That's two B's in Robbins. That's the simplest way. You can find me there. That's kind of base camp, and you find all our stuff there.
Attaboy. Awesome. This is good stuff. Thank you so much for hanging with us. It's an honor. It really is. And I look forward to checking out your book. And I'm sure we'll get to have some more conversations in the future if you like.
Let's do it. I got to have you on our show as well. So yeah, thanks.
I go hard as a guest. You got to watch out though. People say that, and then they're like, "Dude, this guy's a fireball." You got to be ready for that. Okay, that's why I like it here, because we can do all crazy shit.
No, I love it. Makes it exciting, man.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Rick.